episode 411 of In Touch with iOS, the podcast that keeps you connected to the ever-changing Apple ecosystem. I am your host, Dave Ginsburg. Each week we break down the latest news, updates, tips, and hidden features across iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Mac, Vision Pro, and Apple TV, all with insights from friends, experts, and the Apple community, because here we read the release notes so you don't have to. So, we got some great panelists this week, and I would like to welcome back to the show Mr. Mac Stock himself, Mike Potter. How you doing, Mike?
Howdy. Hey, Dave. Good to be here, as always.
I'm so glad you're here. Also here is Marty Jencius. How you doing, Marty?
It is the Thursday before the Friday before spring break. I am in a real good mood because next week will be free and clear for a week.
Oh, it's always good to have a break. We all need it once in a while here. So, also here is Eric Bolden. How you doing, Eric?
Great. It's good weather. A little hazy today, but nice and warm. So,
and what is your bird this week?
It's a red-tailed hawk this week.
Ooh.
All right. Jill McKinley, you're back. How you doing, Jill?
Yeah.
Happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad this week is over. It was another brutal week, but that's okay.
And last but certainly not least, Chuck Joyner joins us this week. Hello, Chuck. How are you doing?
I'm good, Dave. I'm good. I don't know what a break is.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of like that too. We're always busy doing something, right? Glad everybody's here this week. And boy, we have a lot to talk about this week. There was lots and lots of news with something called the Apple Experience, I guess it was called, with all kinds of the new products that came out. So we're looking forward to talking about that and all the usual things that we always talk about. So let's go ahead and just dig right into the latest. In Touch with the Vision Pro this week was kind of light this week, but I wanted to make sure we talked about beta. visionOS 26.4 beta 3 was released, and really only about the big things that probably were found was mostly bug fixes and stability improvements. Developers are testing NVIDIA's Cloud XR support for streaming high-resolution XR content and focusing on refining features added earlier in the 26.4 cycle rather than big UI changes. Marty, you made a comment that's saying that it is 9.5 gigabytes to download it, but it was immensely faster than
Fast, for the setup and everything.
As you said,
yeah.
What was your experience?
It was quick. I usually don't. I hate doing updates because I want to keep it on my head, and I have to sit and wait for all that stuff to happen. And this time, I put a little disk in it that Eric and I talked about on Vision Profiles that kept the thing thinking it was running without being on my head. And the next thing I knew, bam, it was done. Really quick in terms of download and setup.
Yep.
So we're getting near the end.
Eric,
yeah.
Yeah, we are getting close, I think. Eric, are you on beta still?
Yep. It was nice and fast. No real issues. So yeah, so far so good.
Good. And we'll see where it goes next. Like I said, we anticipate probably a release pretty soon here with the 26.4 on the Vision Pro. Moving on to beta this week, iOS 26.4 beta 3 was released this week. But before we get to that, Apple did release a fix, the iOS 26.3.1 as well as iPadOS 26.3.1. And what that did was it did some bug fixes in the Studio Display support. It was very minor updates to all these fixes, including it was just released 3 of the weeks after 26.3 came out. Again, it's supporting the new Studio Display, which we're going to talk about in a little bit here, as well as some unspecified bug fixes. So go out there, get that updated whenever possible. It's not, I wouldn't say a hugely important fix of things, but you should get it installed at some point. Then moving on to beta, they did release beta 3 of iOS 26.4 and iPadOS 26.4. But then today, as we're recording, they did a revised third betas of the upcoming release for testing purposes. It was 3 days after they had the initial beta that came out. So it is a new version for the testers, and public beta is out as well. And we've talked about some of the things that it's having that are getting, like Playlist Playground feature in Apple Music, Apple Podcasts getting native video podcasting capabilities, and stolen device protection is enabled by default. All that stuff we talked about before. So nothing really changed other than just the next version for testing purposes. So as I always say, if you don't want to suffer later, you don't put beta on your production device, right? And so also, we've got the release of both watchOS and tvOS and as well, and that there wasn't really any notable releases on all three of those. The one thing we did talk about with tvOS 26.4, it's going to eliminate the iTunes movies and iTunes TV shows apps on the Apple TV. They hadn't been working for some time and just directed users to the Apple TV app for purchases anyway, so they're finally phasing it out. watchOS has an average bedtime metric that's going to be for sleep features that sync to the health app. So a couple things that were released for those. And that's really what's all we got for wrap up on beta. Anybody have any who those are on it? I know, Marty, you are. Any experiences with iOS, iPadOS?
No, nothing noticeable. Again, I actually, as you were talking, I went ahead and just touched my software update to get that 3.1 update that you were talking about. So I'm putting those on now, but I don't spend enough time with the iPad to give you any reactions to iPadOS and any changes with it. So,
all right. So let's go ahead and move on for the product announcements. So there was quite a bit of announcements this week. It started on Monday where we had the iPhone 17e and we had the iPad Air M4. And then the next day we had the Studio display that was announced, and then we had the MacBook Pro, the MacBook Air, some notable accessories, and then, of course, the MacBook Neo. Well, we'll save that for last here. So let's just dig right into starting with the iPhone 17e. So the 17e does have the A19 chip versus what the 16e had, and it is there is a comparison that here, an article we have in here that can really tell you what it's got. So the 16e had the A18 chip, where this moved up to the 17e. The 17e has the A19. A little bit faster clock speeds, slightly bigger bandwidth, and the GPU core versus GPU with neutral neural accelerators. It has now the newer modem, the Apple's C1X modem, and it's of course, it's eSIM only. And then you've got some next generation portrait with focus and depth control, whereas portrait mode only had just depth control on the 16e. The ceramic shields now with it's got the two front glass as opposed to just the front glass. And then finally they added MagSafe, which is amazing. I have the 16e, and it is kind of annoying that it's not MagSafe, but it kind of works. But I've been using it. So wireless charging was increased as well, so 15 watts with a 20 watt adapter, and it's slightly heavier actually, but by a few point ounces. The biggest thing was a big change was the fact that it now the base storage is 256 gigabyte, which is awesome, and it's the same price at $599. And it comes in some other alternate colors, including soft pink and as well as white and black. So I don't know any of us here on the panel are really into looking at replacing this. I kind of tempted to do it, so I would just trade in my 16e and go up to the 17e. So they are taking it as I was testing other waters. Anybody get overly excited about the 17e at all?
You know, I think I finally found a phone I can recommend to people who are not looking for an expensive phone. Some people in my peer or age group who are like, well, I've been on an iPhone 4 and it stopped working, so I need a new phone. Which one should I get? They're not going to concern themselves with all the photography stuff as long as it takes a picture. That's all they need. This is a great phone for them.
It
it's a
really
better
is. I was
it's a
impressed.
better kind of upgrade than the 16E. I would get into a 16E versus 16 Pro a disagreement, like which one do you really need? This one, I'm comfortable just referring to those folks looking for a good solid phone with some new bells and whistles. So
Yeah. That's like comparing like the 17E with the 17. What do you tell them? Okay, the big difference between the two is the 17E is going to be the biggest upgrade was the screen, and it doesn't have, but it has the single lens camera. And that's it. Everything else is comparable to the 17, but the 17 is going to add the extra lens and a little better photography. But is that important to you? That's what you have to decide for that $200 difference in price from the 17E to the 17. So anybody else have comments here? Chuck, you have anything to say? Offer on this?
Yeah, just this feels like the perfect second phone. If you do have concerns over the power of the iPhone and all that, I've had a second phone that sort of gets pressed into service occasionally, but it's nice to have that second number. And so this makes me think, okay, this would even be less compromised than that. And would also put me into the modern architecture for a phone that no longer is taking updates on the what has been my secondary phone. So I'm not sure I'm sorely tempted, because there's some other things out there that I probably would put into use first. But I feel like now suddenly there's a really nice, inexpensive second option that doesn't represent too much compromise.
Yeah, agreed. Mike, any thoughts on this? Are you looking to be in the market sometime soon for a new iPhone?
I'm not really, quite frankly.
No?
I do think that this is a really nice sweet spot phone. Not only is it inexpensive, $599 for 256 gig. That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish it had a little bit better color range. I understand why it doesn't. I mean, our choices are white, black, and pink. But for the money, this would be a really nice replacement for my iPhone 13 if I was ready to get a new phone. But yeah. Oh, I like the screen size. That's what I was going to say. I dug around through the specs a little bit till I found that they didn't put that honking giant screen in it. It's the 6.1 inch screen, which is the perfect size for me. So yeah, I think this would be a nice replacement.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm just
Jill, Eric,
I'm just glad that they put MagSafe into it. That and upped the storage a little bit so you could get the base phone and it should be usable. And I always have two numbers because I keep dropping my cell service at certain points on trips. But I almost could see moving to a 17E as like just a separate phone just to keep device connectivity. Since they didn't ship a laptop that has cellular service, that's kind of the closest I can get to it. So might give it a try.
Yeah. Chuck alluded to this. This would be my travel phone. I already have a travel phone, so I don't need to replace it. But this is the one that if somebody steals, they didn't get my best phone. So when I'm out in places or even in different countries, this is kind of this low end phone is the one that I would take with me because I don't need to do a lot of other things with it other than have access. So,
I think about, different parts of my life where I couldn't afford an Apple phone. I think it would have been great then. I think about people in my family who are just not power users, who just want a decent phone. But I was thinking about this, that I read a story about how Apple wasn't doing as well in Europe and in Asia as they wanted to, and some of it had to do with the extreme cost. And so I also wonder if this will help their international sales quite a bit, having a great phone at a decent price.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Dave, one other thing that I'll throw in.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Keep in mind that, if you do use this as a secondary phone, you can maybe dial back on one of the plans. So, you maybe experiment with some of these second tier carriers, if you will. And also, it can be used as your mobile hotspot, assuming that, wherever you're going has coverage. So don't overlook the fact that, yes, if you're going to get that second number, think a little bit about would it be advantageous to have more mobile data? Because you could easily switch it from one phone to the other for your laptop.
Yep.
Can I ask a question? So
absolutely, please.
Eric and Chuck both alluded to the second number. I cannot find, normally Apple gives you a tech specs link. I cannot find a tech specs for this phone, not in the quick moments of our conversation here. Does this not have 2 eSIM slots? Is it just one in this phone?
Just one. Well, you can have multiple eSIMs like on any iPhone. That hasn't changed. I'll put a link here in the chat here as well as in the show notes. I have the compare site that Apple has. It should show you the specs for your
because you could link
in our chat here.
You could link 2 SIMs to a phone before.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this one says
was talking about 2 numbers. I was just curious. Well, why not just put 2 numbers on the one phone?
This says the 17E supports dual eSIM, allowing for 2 actives, simultaneous cellular plans without needing a physical SIM card.
Got it.
Right.
Cool.
Which they don't have options for anymore, at least in the U.S.
Yeah.
Or most countries, I should say.
Well, and at the moment, I do have both numbers in a single phone.
Ah, cool. All right.
I used to have it in 2 different phones. And I just found that I miss it in cases where I want a phone to sit there and do something with a particular device, but I want to go walk around and do something and still have a phone. And when both numbers are in one device, then you have to make choices. And I'm not good at that. So
I typically just forward my big hunky phone number to my smaller walk around phone, so things then get sent through that way. So I use the call forwarding function, so I can have both numbers on the phone that I'm going to walk around with.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But and sort of to what Eric said, a lot of times my main iPhone is being used as a camera or as a video camera. And that means I can't do anything else. And I certainly can't take calls if I need to. So there is something to be said for having it's inconvenient to carry a second device, but there are definite advantages.
I liked your hotspot suggestion though. That was a really good idea.
Yeah.
I have my moments.
I agree.
I have I used a secondary carrier that Chuck was alluding to, one of those where you can buy it by the month and you can change and it came in handy when I would travel with both phones that I could use, because I'd go into a conference situation and the hotel Wi-Fi was horrible. And so I wound up just using one of my phones as a hotspot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I do it a lot of times too. That using mine as a hotspot, it's a lifesaver sometimes when you can't get good internet. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Anything else on iPhone before we move on here? All right, let's talk a little bit about the iPad Air M4. They did unveil the Air with an M4 chip. They did increase the RAM. Its RAM's now up to 12 gigabytes of RAM. It does have the N1 wireless networking chip, and it moved up to Wi-Fi 7 support. So the M3 had only 8 gig and it was 6E Wi-Fi support. So now you're looking at about 30% faster multi-core CPU compared to the M3 chip. And then it has an 8-core CPU as well as a 9-core GPU and 16-core neural engine. The memory bandwidth increased from 100 to 120, and the N1 chip has come to the Air, enabling this Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread. And it says the N1 chip will have improved wireless performance with the device as it's connected to 5G and Wi-Fi networks. And then, of course, the reliability of things like AirDrop and the personal hotspot. So it's a really great thing here. The cellular monitors are now going to be equipped with the Apple's custom C1X modem for 5G and LTE, which will about 50% faster cellular performance. And it still stays at the same price, $599 from the last year's model. This is a pretty amazing, iPad. Now, the only downfall here is, unlike what they did with the 16E, for some reason, the base storage is 128. We should have in my opinion, we should have had this at 256 because it can go 256, 512, and 1 terabyte. Still has the LCD screen with 500 nits of brightness, 12 megapixel front camera, center stage supports, the whole slew of stuff that we know to come and love with the iPad. This is always the iPad I recommend to people. You've got the baseline, which they didn't, interestingly enough, the base iPad they did not do an update this time around. That's the lower priced model. That's around $349, I think it is. But there's no comparison. I think if you want a good, solid iPad for the price and the performance, I think the iPad Air is a great sweet spot with this. So, any thoughts about this with the iPad Air? I think this is a great, worthy purchase. What do you think, Marty?
Yeah, I think it's great for folks who are into the iPad environment, and they have to kind of make a decision if it's worth the cost to upgrade. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not a big iPad user. I do have them.
Right.
The ones that I have are at this point good enough and sufficient for me that I don't need to consider an upgrade. And because I've got Pros right now, and I just don't use it enough to try and get another form factor. So, this is this line, the iPad line, is probably going to fall by the wayside for me. For those folks who are on an earlier iPad that use it constantly, particularly if they use it for media and, it's meant as an entertainment device, this is a nice upgrade for them. They should consider investing in upgrading their iPad, because that's their form factor that is special to them and personal to them. So you might as well have the best experience you can have.
Absolutely. Mike, are you an iPad user? You have an iPad, I assume?
I am comfortably rocking my 10.5-inch iPad Pro. I think I picked that up in 2018. Quite happy with it. It can't be updated anymore, but it's all the iPad I need, quite frankly. Now, let's go back for a second to what Marty was saying and what you were saying. If someone were to ask me, the iPad Air or the iPad are my recommendations. That's as you said, it's the sweet spot. And it's a fantastic recommendation for someone who wants a more powerful iPad without going all the way up to the Pro. For me, the iPad just does not have any place in my workflow. At best, it plays TV shows or YouTube videos for me while I'm working on my Mac. So I think if I were to replace my iPad Pro, I would spend $280 on sale and get an iPad and just be done with it.
Yeah. Chuck, you have thoughts on this?
I'm kind of with Mike, although I'm a little more concerned with having the power available to me. But I also have certain very specific uses for my iPad that probably don't justify the top end, even though that's where I usually like to park, mainly because if you park at the high end, you can hold on to them for a lot longer and feel like, they're not becoming unusable. That said, I feel like this is a really nice iPad for about 90% of the people out there. Maybe not for the people on this call, but for the average user, whatever that means. Yeah, I think this is a nice upgrade. It keeps them current. It keeps them in the ecosystem and certainly seeing updates for a long time into the future. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, Me too. If I were in the market, I mean, I'm perfectly happy with my M4 iPad Pro, 13-inch. And the Air, I believe, was upgraded on the 13-inch as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's definitely a good choice. Eric, Jill, anything you want to add?
I've been getting Pros because I used to, as I talked about, be a traveler, and I traveled quite a bit for my last job, and I was on my iPad all the time. And now as a home user, I use it to play silly games and, like Mike said, just do things while I'm on my Mac. So I might go down to the Air on the next time I decide to buy an iPad. The only thing I really am doing is I have the Pencil Pro, and I'm trying to learn how to draw and paint.
Yeah.
But
you'll work with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do the same thing on the Air, and it will be just fine. So,
absolutely, Eric, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. As it is the iPad I generally recommend to people, and they seem to be really happy with it. It works. It does kind of what they want it to do. I've got a Pro, but I don't have the most current one, and it's holding up really well.
I think there are a lot of people who were looking for an upgrade in the Mini, and that didn't happen. There are going to be a lot of tearful folks that didn't happen this round.
That happened last year, and I think it's an every other year kind of thing. So I was not expecting an 8 when there was a 7 last year.
Yeah.
Which I bought.
Absolutely.
I did buy that.
Quandary, though. Do you really need an iPad Mini or just need a larger phone?
Well, if you talk to Jeff Gammon, he wants the iPad Mini.
Yeah.
I love my iPad Mini. It's actually one of my just favorite things I have around the house.
Yeah. Make sure to mention everybody in the chat for tonight. That's at youtube.com/intouchwithios. Guy Cerelia joining us this week, and he says, I have an M1 iPad Pro, and I am tempted. Well, you should be tempted because it's the M1 is it's a little slower, but still a very worthy iPad that you have. But this Air is, for its value, is really good. So definitely interesting as well. And Weatherbug, great to see you. He also says, I've certainly been curious about a new iPad since mine won't go past OS 17. And we'll talk about the Neo with the casual watching. He might be tempted to that too. So that's definitely going to be something to potentially look at. And Cletus, great to see you in the chat here. I saw Webb and we had a new person that was in this week. I think it was Go To Fair. Thanks for being here this week. I think you're new to us, and I'm glad you found us. So thank you. So let's go ahead and move on from the iPad, and we're going to do a little bit of In Touch with Mac this week. Got a lot to talk about on the Mac side of things here. First thing I'll mention is Mac OS Tahoe 26.3.1 was released. Same thing, support for the Studio Display and Studio Display XR. It's a minor update that you can go at that, and you can do the software by the system settings and navigating it to the software update sections. This is not a most important update, I wouldn't think. If it's just doing a fix for the Studio Display. And I did hear today, as I was in my support world, that potentially the 26.3.1 might break Wi-Fi. So be aware of that. There hasn't been I haven't seen anything out in the wild as far as news about it, but we did some testing and did find there was a potential issue with Wi-Fi with this release. So just be aware of that. But if not, you're using you obviously are not everybody is buying the new Studio Display, which we'll talk about. It's a little on the pricey side, but it's a pretty nice display for sure. We'll hit that, but so just be aware of this update, and hopefully that you won't see that issue. So as well as in the Mac updates here, you have the third beta of 26.4 is out for developers. Nothing really big to talk about when it comes to that. So pretty much that's all we're going to hit on for this week on the updates and such. But let's talk about the Studio Display. So Apple did update the Studio Display with Thunderbolt 5. It also has it was the updated of the regular version of the Studio Display. So with this, some new features. There's 2 Thunderbolt 5 ports on there, up to 120 gigabytes of upstream. One upstream port, and it provides 96-watt pass-through charging, and 1 downstream port. It's got a built-in 12-megapixel center stage camera supporting desk view. The 6-speaker sound system woofers deliver 30% deeper bass compared to the previous Studio Display. And then the other high-end XDR receives 120 hertz refresh rate, many backlit lighting, and as well as 140-watt pass-through charging. So you've got some differences here between the two. They're both 27-inch models. The resolution's at 5120 by 2880. Oof, that's a major resolution there at 218 pixels per inch. And so it's a really nice display. The base price starts at around $15.99, and you can go all the way up to the XDR display, which is at a whopping $32.99. And both can be had with anti-reflective or nano texture glasses for additional $300. You have the choices between a stand or a Visa mount, and the adapter remains available as upgrade options. Although I just purchased some today for work, and you can order the models with the Visa mount if you don't want to have a stand. So those of you who have monitor arms, that's a really good thing. They did. So they did discontinue the old Pro display at XDR, that $5,000 display that Apple was selling for a number of years. For obvious reasons, it didn't sell that crazy. I mean, I think this XDR is a little better in the price range. Still a little pricey at $32.99, but it's going to be something that's really good to go with if you're looking at high end video. So. Mike, did you take a peek at any of these studio displays at all? I know it's not something you're going to be in your wheelhouse purchasing.
Yeah, there's
one for us.
A whole wall behind me. No,
I thought so.
So I hadn't been following the news about these displays that closely.
Okay.
So as I'm going through your always expertly compiled show notes, I need to take notes on that.
Thanks.
I came across this bit, which I'm sure you're going to talk about, that the Studio Display doesn't work with Intel Macs.
Yes.
Okay.
So
cool.
You're kind of out.
I don't understand that. It's a freaking display. I'm of the mindset, being a desktop computer user, I'm of the mindset that when I buy a nice display, that display is going to be with me for a long period of time. A display like this that I'm spending even $1,600 for, that's not chump change. Even a display I'm only spending $1,600 on should be a display with the versatility of being able to hook up to anything I want to connect to it. So I really want to know more about what that means. I think it's a little early. I've been trying to read some articles about this after I saw the link in your show notes. I'm not quite sure what this entails. If I have 2 computers, if I have a Linux desktop and a Mac, can I not hook up the Linux desktop to this display because, heaven forbid, it has an Intel processor in it? What does this mean? So once I find out the answer to that, I'll be a little bit more willing to discuss the viability of possibly purchasing those with the money I don't have.
Yeah.
Mike, don't you understand, though, that this particular Studio Display is for Mac eyes only?
Yeah, right. Well,
exactly.
See what I did there?
If I were to go out and buy a display of this caliber right now, with what I know about these displays right now, I'd be buying a competitor's display.
Yeah. I would agree.
Plenty of discussion about it. I'm sporting a Dell 34-inch curved model. Absolutely love it, and I've talked about it many times.
They make nice displays.
$625 is all it costs me. I mean, it's a perfectly good monitor like that at the resolution it needs to be. I'm very, very happy with it. So I agree. These are high-end displays. It's not for everybody, but they are quite nice, I must say, if you have the budget. So, Chuck, you have any thoughts on this?
No, pretty much everything that's been said here. I want to know more because I too am intrigued. I mean, On the other hand, here we are. We have a software update for the Mac OS that has something to do with driving the monitors. So I kind of want to know what the story is too. I'm not sure. No, scratch that. This is definitely not in my wheelhouse because I just don't feel like I need that kind of quality out of a monitor. I've seen them. Well, I haven't seen these yet, obviously, but I've seen the previous studio displays, even the XDR, and they're gorgeous. But either my eyesight isn't good enough or my ability to appreciate is not good enough to say I'm going to spend that kind of money versus having the Dells that I have in back of me, which admittedly, if I put a Dell 4K beside one of my old iMac 5K displays, yeah, you can tell the difference. But at the end of the day, in the middle of the day when I'm working, does that really make that much difference? No, not for me anyway.
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts on this display?
I'll take a free
Go
ahead, Marty.
I was going to say, my monitors don't break enough. And, like Mike's saying, you're going to keep it for a long time. Well, that's also just the structure of the display. And so my computers break or get outdated before my displays do. And I kind of think this is a silly market for Apple to be in.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's three things.
Let me bring in Brian here before you go on here, Joe. Limited functionality, it may be understandable, but not to support Intel chips is not a good move. A move, in my opinion, leaving a bunch of money on the table. I agree with that because people with Intel Macs probably still want to use this. Yeah. It's very much so. So go ahead, Joe.
Oh, I was just saying that, coming from the Windows world, there's three things about Macs that confuse me the most. And one of them is how monitors work. I could hook 27 monitors up to my Windows computer and it doesn't even care. And I guess I just don't understand these monitors as, first of all, it's 27 inches for a ton of money. The market is flooded with really good monitors with the same amount of nits and the same good resolution. And I just don't understand. Look, I saw one too. I saw one at someone's house. It's beautiful. I just thought, I don't get the money, and it just boggles me too that how did Apple get into this? And maybe they're thinking the Pixar people and the, the people out, making professional animation, and this is something that's for them, but I just don't get it at all.
Yeah, it does really make no sense. So let's go ahead and mention a couple other things. It was fun. Did anybody have anything before I move on?
Yeah, I was just going to say, unless you're a photographer, and yes, you can get other displays that work, but this is a gorgeous display for high dynamic range photographs and editing and that sort of thing. And I don't have one, but I wouldn't mind occasionally looking at pictures on one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I would love to have one of them. I just don't see the justification in the cost. I think everybody here on this panel that it's a little pricey.
Eric,
what it does.
I look at your photos on my Dell 2.5K display, and they are gorgeous.
Yeah, he's an amazing photographer, no question about it.
Absolutely.
But Dave, one of your problems is if you get one, you're going to want two.
There's the other thing too. Yes,
you just can't eat one, just like a potato chip.
No, that's
I've got one of the
first for me. I don't need two.
Yeah, I've got one of the first lines of the studio monitors, and it's my working monitor. And then I have another monitor that's an old Dell that's like 1080p. It's just huge, and 34 inches. That's my reading monitor. So if I have anything on I want to read, I throw it on there. And then I have another Samsung monitor, which is where I put on streaming television while I'm working. So,
one other thing I wanted to mention here is it was found that the Apple's two different studio display models feature different A19 chips. Apple really didn't mention it, but this is a Mac Rumors article that says they confirm information in the latest studio display firmware. The second generation studio display is equipped with the A19 chip, whereas the XDR display is an A19 Pro chip. and the code was found there. So interesting to see that. I guess the fact that it's an XDR display needs a little bit extra speeds. I mean, 19 and 19 Pro, I don't know. There's a huge difference. My thinking. So the A19, A19 Pro chips are much newer than the A13, the Bionic that it had, from 4 years ago. So, but yeah, it's because the 17 and the iPhone 17 and the iPhone Air both have the A19 and 19 Pro chips. So you think about basically the display is an iPhone, right? With the same chip. So I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that.
I would be really interested to know what they're offloading onto that processor. I know that with the original display, you could have an underpowered machine still drive the display and deal with the cameras and sound and without affecting the performance of the laptop. I mean, the machines now are plenty fast enough to handle all that. So I'm just curious to see. There must be a reason why you put all that extra power into that display. Maybe it's storing calibration information. Not really sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's hit on some of the different products that were released from the Mac. There was a number of great releases here. You had the MacBook Air with a M5 chip and 512 gigabyte base of storage. The Air has a 810 core, what Apple calls the world's fastest CPU cores, and it's offering configurations up to 10 GPU cores with neural engine in each core, delivering up to 4 times faster performance for AI tests than the MacBook Air with the M4 chip. So it also has a 3rd generation ray tracing engine along with the faster unified memory. And so it's got some really good updates with this. But it does have it starts at 512 now instead of 256, and it's configurable all the way up to 4 terabytes of storage. So with the way cost of storage is these days, it's kind of crazy. So I will ask everybody if they bought anything at the end here, but yeah, this is a really worthy upgrade, especially if you have like an M3 or M2 Air. This is would be quite a jump. And also they released the MacBook Pro M5 Pro and M5 Max chips that came out, and this is for the 14 and 16-inch models. They built in a new fusion architecture that bonds the 2 3rd-generation 3 nanometer dies into a single chip using advanced packaging. And the fusion architecture was a first for Apple Silicon because previous chips had a single die design. The 2 bonded dies house the CPU, GPU, and the media engine, neural engine, and unified memory controller, and 5 Thunderbolt 5 capacities together. So it's quite a place I would put in here. And you can get these up to 20 GPU cores, where the Max doubles that at 40. That's insane. And the GPU now also includes the neural engine, and Apple says it's about 4 times the peak AI computing compared to the M4 Pro and the M4 Max, and about 50% faster graphics rate here. So memory got a bump too. M5 Pro supports up to 64 gigs of unified memory, up from 48, and the bandwidth reaching at about 307 gigabytes, and the M5 Max retains its 128 maximum, but the bandwidth's up to 614. So I'm not going to get more into all these stuffs here, but there's some pretty worthy upgrades here. I'm going from an M1 Pro to an M5 Pro, and I am getting this model. I know all you've been knowing. I've been talking, saying I'm ready. I was waiting for my gift card, holding it, burning a hole in my pocket to make sure I get this machine. So these were all the pre-order happened on March 4th, but of course it got pushed back, so I can't get it until March 18th. Darn it! But both machines are very worthy. One thing they did do is the standard SSD storage now is 1 terabyte. So usually it used to be 512 gigabytes. So now its standard is 1 terabyte. And I think that the motivating factor was this, frankly, SSD drive costs. It just really has driven up the cost of these drives like exponentially. So I'm not complaining because I would want a 1 terabyte at the very least, because it's nice to have that storage and not to be pushed back. So, Mike, for Mac guys only, tell us, what was your initial thoughts on these new models?
I have lots of thoughts on the Neo when we get to it, but
okay, we'll get into this. I was holding the best for last.
Lots of thoughts, but
good.
I love the 1 terabyte minimum drive storage. I think that's fantastic. That is where a MacBook Pro should start. We've been saying that on the show for a couple of years now, that we should be at 1 terabyte. 512 on the Air, 16 gig of memory on the Air, 24 gig of memory on the Pro. These are fantastic computers. If you feel as if you're in the need for an upgrade, absolutely. Go out and get one on, what'd you say, the 18th? Get one on the 18th, because it's going to be a great upgrade. Absolutely. And
you probably
now there's three efficiency cores, right? There's the turtle and there's the rabbit and I don't remember. No, there's the super core. There's the super efficiency core now. That's what they call it. So you got performance, you got efficiency, and you got super. So can't go wrong with that.
And then the other thing too is the base RAM on the M5 Pro and Max is starts at 24 gigabytes.
24, yeah, which is great.
Yeah, so which is great too. So, Chuck, do you have some thoughts on the Max? Are you going to be in the market?
I went into this thinking the M4 is not that old, and again, I got the top end of the line on the M4,
right.
But seeing the new technology is and I'm waiting to see more benchmarks. But yeah, I could be tempted. I will probably wait for 2 reasons. Number one is it's new technology, and I want to make sure they get the bugs out of this the new parallel dies. But I also think I'll probably wait, like I usually do, for the refurbished market to catch up a little bit and get a little bit better value. But that said, if you have the need for the horsepower, this is it. Now, you said you're going for the M5. I would probably go for the Max.
I'm going M5 Pro. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, when the time comes, if I'm going to go, that's the way I'm going to go. But and the 2 terabytes just means that's one less thing that I have to upgrade myself, because I always get 2 terabytes at minimum. And the RAM, the RAM is going to be the RAM. You only have so many choices there, and more RAM is always better. So yeah, but I'm talking about the high end. Drop down to these other levels, and you still have some amazingly powerful machines that, especially when you think how excited we were over the M1s and how they left the Intels in the dust. And now we have these M5s at all levels that are they just scream. It's kind of staggering. I think you're muted, Dave.
Sorry. Thank you. Jill, what do you think?
Well, I got the M4 Mac Mini last year, and I'm perfectly pleased with it. And at some point, because I'm doing video editing, when it starts to dry up and I'm starting to notice a lot of lag, which I'm not right now, it's perfect. I will think about upgrading, but I love the direction they're going. The MacBook Pros are amazing machines. And like I said, I used to travel. I don't travel anymore, so I don't need anything on the high end when it comes to a laptop. But I'm really impressed with it. And sure, I wish I had one. So, but I will wait a bit.
Okay. Marty?
Oh, boy. I don't buy computers. I just lease them for a year. And then kind of turn them back in. Yeah, I had some gift cards, which is what I asked for Christmas. And I decided that I didn't need a second 13-inch MacBook Air. I have a 15-inch MacBook Air that is my computer that I take back and forth to the office. That might change with the Neo depending on why I'm going to the office. But I upgraded to the M5 MacBook Air 15-inch. And also I'm trading in another computer, and I'm going to go for the MacBook, or have ordered a MacBook M5 Max with 64 gigabyte in it memory. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll be driving around in a 25 mile an hour speed zone with a Maserati. So this will really be good for answering email and you know.
Yeah, I'm sure you did great.
What about you, Eric?
Oh, the decisions. So I spec'd out an M5 Air. Like it, even just the baseline is good. But I wasn't sure if it would fit, if it was too much, not nearly enough. So then I spec'd out a M5 Pro. I decided the Pro Max was overkill for what I was doing. And I didn't think I would keep it long enough to really get enough out of it, but the Pro probably would work. Configuration looked good, plenty of storage space. And then I realized we still don't really know what's going to happen with Apple Intelligence and onboard models. And is it going to happen this year or is it going to be next year? And decided that I don't want to just guess, and I don't want, like, the last phone I bought because, Apple Intelligence was going to come out, and I wanted to make sure I had enough space and a fast enough processor, and then it didn't matter. So I am going to, I think, hold out and not get either of the machines that I truly liked a lot until I have more information.
Smart.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm waiting on that
Yeah.
too. I've been waiting for the day where there is some local AI, and then I want a powered machine to run it. And you're right, I got fooled once. I'm not doing it again.
Anybody else on this? We're going to move on to. There's so much to talk about here. I want to make sure we spend some time with the MacBook Neo. So let's go ahead and move on to it. So Apple did announce the MacBook Neo. It was kind of a surprise. It's an all new kind of low cost Mac featuring the A18 Pro chip for $599, the lowest MacBook that they've ever sold. This is the first Mac to be powered by an iPhone chip. The A18 Pro debuted in the 2024 iPhone 16 Pro, and Apple says it's up to 50% faster for everyday tasks. That they have the best selling PC with the latest shipping Intel Core Ultra 5, which is 3 times faster for on-app AI workloads and up to 2 times faster for photo editing. Features a 13-inch liquid retina display, 2408 by 1506 resolution. I guess okay for a laptop of this size. Got 500 nits of brightness and even reflective coating. The display doesn't have a notch. It said it has featuring uniform iPad-style bezels. Okay, bezels. So 4 colors. It's silver, indigo, blush, and citrus color options. The color finishes extends to the Magic Keyboard in lighter shades and comes with matching wallpapers. And it weighs 2.7 pounds. That's not bad there. A couple things I'm not going to be too happy about, and I know Mike's going to have lots of thoughts about this, is the fact that it only will have 2 USB ports. One port is a USB-C 2 port supporting speeds up to 480 megabytes, and one USB-C 3 port supporting speeds up to 10 gigabytes. And there's a headphone jack. So 16 hours of battery life, 8 gigabytes of unified memory, which you cannot get any more than just that. And Bluetooth 6 connectivity, 1080p front-facing camera, dual mics, directional beamforming. So it's the latest entry-level MacBook and Apple's most affordable laptop ever. Starts at 256 gigs of storage and the Magic Keyboard, or you spend $100 more and you get the 512 gigabytes of storage with the Magic Keyboard and Touch ID. And education customers get starting price at $499. So we kind of know that this was thinking that this is going to be something of a aim towards the education market, I think. And I know, Mike, you're itching to get to tell us all about what your thoughts are on this Neo. So go ahead.
How much time do we have? Do we have enough time?
You tell me.
All right. So you're going to give me the opportunity to rant a little bit here because I'm not actually going to talk about any of this on my show. I've taken the stance
Okay,
where I'm not
good.
going to be talking about new Apple products this year.
All
So
right.
you're giving me this opportunity to talk about something that I won't be able to rant about later.
Good.
So I'll just tell you when I'm done. Now, these are all just random thoughts I wrote down today as I'm going through the news articles and all that stuff. But the very first thought is this is designed as a throwaway computer. It is very much designed to compete in the education market against Chromebooks and super dirt cheap, crappy Intel Windows computers. That's what this is designed to compete against. It is basically an iPad with a Magic Keyboard combo packaged in an aluminum case. That's what we've got. Now, what I'm going to say up front here is I know that this is not designed to compete with the MacBook Air, which is also 2.7 pounds, by the way.
No.
It's not designed to compete with the MacBook Air. It's not designed to compete against the MacBook Pro. And I know that Apple is going to conservatively sell a bazillion of these. I know that. But Jill just said something a moment ago. She got burned before. She's not going to get burned again. I did get a little burned by one of Apple's lightweight, inexpensive MacBooks in the past. And so based on Apple's past history with underpowered and underspec portable Macs, I can't recommend anyone look at the Neo over a MacBook Air, except maybe someone who truly wants a computer that they can throw away when they're done with it. And even for that target audience, the refurbished, Chuck was talking about refurbished Macs a moment ago, the refurbished 13-inch MacBook Air, as I said, also 2.7 pounds, with an M4, 16 gig of memory, 256 gig of storage, 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, MagSafe, Touch ID, and a backlit keyboard is available right now on Apple's site for $759. Right now. And you can get it elsewhere at similarly significant discounts. Brand new, you can get it elsewhere. But, and here's my fun comment that I wrote down. If you want an unsupported brick in your drawer within 3 years, then buy the Neo. Hands down. Get the Neo.
Yeah.
Now, with that price point in mind, $599, I'm going to be really, really interested to see the teardowns from iFixit because I'm wondering how many components is Apple sharing with the iPad Air? Right? Maybe it's the same screen. Maybe it's the same. They're calling it the Magic Keyboard. Maybe it's the same frickin' keyboard, just in a different case.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, from the name down to the colors that are offered, the target audience is unapologetically students. You can see it on their website. It's a student laptop. It's designed to compete against Chromebooks. Great. Awesome. Yeah. So my thought turned to, by attempting to convince the iPhone generation, students, by attempting to convince the iPhone generation that a computer is necessary, is Apple testing the waters of choice? What is more popular with students, a tablet or a laptop, right? Clearly, Clearly it's not tablets, because if tablets were more popular with students, there would be no need for the Neo. Okay. More importantly to me, I think this is really interesting. This proves that Apple could, if they really wanted to, offer macOS on the iPad. That's one thing. Now, considering the MacBook Neo with 256 gig of storage, well, not done yet. One more thing. Considering the MacBook.
No, you're good.
You open the stage to me, Dave.
I welcomed it. Go ahead.
You know I love to do this kind of stuff. Considering the MacBook Neo with 256 gig of storage and 8 gig of memory is only $599 or $699 if you want the more storage and Touch ID. Touch ID doesn't come on the $599. If you want the Touch ID and you want more storage, which you probably do, is there even a need for the iPad? And is the iPad Air at $1,218 with a keyboard overpriced? Is Apple questioning their own marketing by suggesting that the iPad isn't a computer because now people need a MacBook Neo? Okay, now I'm done.
All right, let's open up to the panel. Chuck, do you have thoughts?
Wow, listening to Mike, there's so many things I want to respond to, but I'm not going to occupy a lot of time here. I think there's a lot of validity to what he said. However, I think he's right. I think this is targeted at a generation that is not us. This is definitely targeted at a non-technical audience. And that I think is the thing that we need to think about. That, we're sitting here like geeks, and Mike certainly is right in there pitching, and he just did a very, very impressive geek analysis of this.
Yeah,
he did.
I think go back to the everyman, and now you've got a Mac sitting there, and and by the way, the other thing that has been almost universal in the comments in the tech press, that the people that have had their hands on it, is the build quality. That this does not feel like a cheap Asus or any of the others. This feels like an Apple product. And I think that's something that's not going to get lost. The only thing that Mike said that I'm really not sure I agree with, in fact, I probably strongly disagree, is that in 3 years you're going to be sitting there with an unsupported product.
You want me to get my MacBook for you, Chuck? You want me to get my 12-inch MacBook for you? This thing, I went back and looked at the breathless press releases that were out when they released the MacBook 12-inch. I went back and looked. Almost verbatim verbiage about how wonderful this computer was going to be for everyone.
Hold on, I think we need to take a moment here. I think Mike's working through something.
Yeah.
I told you that.
And
I told you.
Now we understand.
We should support him as he works through this as much as possible. And he's really kind of buzzkilled the rest of us, but that's okay. Maybe we light some candles.
We hear how you feel, Mike.
Tell you.
No, Mike is absolutely right.
I've got a 12. I've got one on my shelf too.
At MacStock this summer. It's going to be there. I promise you, it's going to be there, and I'm going to show you how wonderful of a computer it was, not running Mac OS.
Yeah, but what was the processor?
That was an Intel M.
Yeah.
M1 processor.
And that processor didn't hold up over time very well.
Well, guess how well the A18 is going to hold up over time?
It'd be fine.
It's already in a previous generation iPhone.
Yeah, but how many people are still using those?
Eric,
still running
don't
a
poke the
4S
bear.
Web says go big or go home.
And look, Mike, you said an Intel M processor, not an Apple Silicon M.
Oh yeah. Well, it was supposed to be the
Yeah. So, maybe that was a computer before its time. I'm not going. That's a whole nother argument.
Oh no,
because I never owned one.
It is an underpowered piece of junk.
Yeah. So,
but it was very nicely built.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keyboard was nice.
For sure.
Yeah.
I never had a keyboard problem with that one.
Yeah.
By the way,
good.
Never had a problem with the keyboard.
Yeah. I think that we have to look at this through a whole different lens, because I think it's built to compete with the cheap laptop, the cheap PC laptops, and be compelling. It's going to be fun with the colors. People love the colors.
It's a nice color.
Doesn't mean anything to me,
especially.
but yeah. So I think they're going to sell a pile of these too. And the one thing that does terrify me is almost how like 99% of the articles I've read are positive. That's the only thing that scares me, because that I haven't seen any articles tearing it apart not physically, but and I haven't seen that. I've seen a couple that say, well, they outline all the compromises. Well, of course there are going to be compromises for a $599 laptop. What did you expect?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
In the case.
Yeah, I have. if you're not reading bad articles, I can send you some links that you can go to, because it seems to be a lot of clickbait with people posting, particularly to Reddit's, like all the deficits that are in it, and they haven't put their hands on it yet, and I haven't put my hands on it yet. I do know from educational pricing, I work with international teachers who come here during the summer. Got another crop coming in here this summer. They all want iPhones, and they want new iPhones, and they want iPad, they want iMacs, and they want MacBooks if they can get it. What we give them is Chromebooks to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And this has a potential, again, I haven't put my hands on it, to be able to run a lot more than and have function as a computer instead of a web browser with add-ins on it, like Chromebooks. So I'm excited about it for the educational market. My IT person in my building wasn't following the news, and I walked into her office yesterday and told her, "Hey, did you see these?" And she goes, "What?" And then she looked at it and she goes, "I'm ordering these." So this is going to be big for Apple to re-enter to and it's a gateway drug for a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro, or when I finally get my job, I can go get a step up my computer and put that colorful little thing in the closet for a while.
It's even
before we
cheaper,
go any further, I want to make sure and they're going to further. I want to make sure to talk about Brian. Brian is in the chat, and thanks for being here, Brian. He says, "My wife loves the colors and may push her over the edge to finally pick one up because I don't think she uses Macs." So that there's another that could and like he said, we're exactly not into the market. So this is not the market for us, of course, but. That's another example. So you may attract other users that are stuck on Windows or Chromebook for that matter, and this is could easily flip them. So,
I want to see this MacBook Pro though.
Yeah. Hey Dave, get Brian's wife on the show.
Yeah, that would be great.
She can get.
Brian,
I mean, seriously,
seriously,
we need to get some people that aren't us that are as enthusiastic about this, because I really think that we are almost not qualified to talk about it because we're going to naturally see the issues.
Right. Okay.
Well,
Brian, you heard that.
I don't know.
Tell her we want to interview for just a short period. Just about that. She doesn't have to do the whole show. So let me give the others opportunity to say anything before you start getting close to the wrap up here. Eric, go ahead.
So a few months ago, I asked for a specific machine. I said I wanted an iPad running macOS to use with the Vision Pro. I wanted a keyboard and a screen for the Vision Pro and a virtual screen. And I wanted it to be able to then remote into all of the other Macs I have in the house and then do different projects and whatever. I think this will actually give me what I'm looking for. It's basically just a remote screen. It's like a Citrix window to all my other computers, and it's a color I can find when I set it down. If I set it down and I forget to pick it up, I won't be crying for weeks that I just lost 2 cars in the coffee shop because somebody else walked off with it or whatever. It's, to me, this is like the perfect machine. There are only like 3 minor issues I see with it for my use, and they're not showstoppers. I would have paid money to get a backlit keyboard because then you can use it in dim room. 8 gigabytes is just a little bit on the not quite enough, but if you're just using it as a terminal, it should still be okay. And I kind of miss Thunderbolt because with Thunderbolt I could plug a bunch of stuff in. I could see occasionally being annoyed that I want to plug in like storage plus power plus something else. But that's pretty minor. It pretty much solves what I want it to solve, and I don't have to do any of the weird workaround things I was doing before, like carrying around an M4 Mini with an external battery pack and an adapter on my iPad to feed video into the iPad to boot it up so that I could use it with a Vision Pro and a carrying around an extended keyboard. This solves a lot of my issues. It reduces the load of what I'm carrying around and gives me what I'm looking for. And it's cheap. And I have devices with A18 chips in them, and it's an A18 Pro chip, not even just the baseline one. So I think it's actually going to be really nice. It even does the AV1 decode that I can't do in my Vision Pro. So
yeah. All right, let's wrap this up here. I know
I
we've
didn't
had
guess
a lot of stuff. If you want to go ahead and give your thoughts, Jill, and then we'll go.
Okay, sorry. I was going to say that I actually thought about buying one. And first of all, there's past Jills that would have loved this. The Jill that in 2010 had to buy a crappy HP cheap laptop because my work gave me a computer, but I wasn't allowed to do anything on it but work. And I'm sitting in the hotel room and I want to do things, write emails, check websites, watch movies. That would have been perfect for 2010 Jill, right? I think about people in my family who don't want to spend money on a big, they don't do much, with a particular laptop. Read emails, look at websites, play little iOS games, whatever. That's fine too. But for me, I go camping, and I brought my laptop a few times camping, and I worry about it. The car getting too hot, someone stealing and ransacking my car and taking it away. And I thought this would be an excellent camping laptop that I could take with me and not worry about, or go out, when I'm out doing photography and I don't have to worry about what's in my car. But what you get with this is not just the Apple build and all the things that, the quality and everything else. You get the Apple security. You get the Apple protection from hacking. You get, instead of dumping your friends and family off into Chrome world, which is just a hot mess of insecurity, you're giving them something safe, to like my mom, who maybe just wants to browse a webpage once in a while. And I think it's amazing. And like I said this before, I was excited about it before. And I'm now even thinking about myself that maybe I'll go ahead and get one so that I can have one that I just don't care about.
Yeah, Apple is going to sell a bazillion.
Yeah.
Well, they are.
Absolutely.
No question.
I'm curious
All the comments ready.
with the school, with it being directed towards students. I am hopeful that it will run Creator Studio, because that seemed
like a
to be
lot.
the new suite. I know, but people, and I know Guy threw a comment in about, is 8 gigabytes enough, or is 8 gig enough? We don't know. We don't know what the configuration or the architecture is with this, that it might be able to optimize the use in different ways. And so who knows? I mean, we'll find out Wednesday when it arrives at my door.
Oh, yeah.
We knew you were going to buy it, and you spoiled the whole thing here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike. You have one. I'll let you have the last word on this.
No last word. I just wanted to comment on what Marty just said about the Creator Suite Studio, whatever they're calling it. Every Mac that Apple offers, you can tack on Final Cut and Logic, except this one.
Mm-hmm.
So that might indicate that maybe Apple isn't super comfortable with running those apps on it.
What color, Marty?
I avoided calamine lotion pink or whatever it's called, and
Lotion pink.
wanted to get a color that nobody would mistake for a Asus computer. I got citrus.
Citrus is awesome.
Nice.
Love
Nice color.
citrus.
Nice.
One one last thing I want to mention in the article here was Walmart will continue to sell Macs after the proving market for the MacBook Neo. They're going to stay in the business of selling Macs, and the retailer officially is selling the $599 MacBook Neo. It's no surprise because Apple basically used Walmart as a proving ground for its lower cost laptop without the faster processor. 2 years ago, they started selling the MacBook Air M1. And at the time, that's when the M3 MacBook Air was out, and they stopped selling the M1. But then they kept it around so they could sell it at Walmart. So there you go. There's going to be another market there. All the Walmart shoppers are going to look at this MacBook and it's like, wow, MacBook Neo. This is only $600. This is a great laptop. So there's another market that's going to probably sell a ton of them too. I'm sure Walmart will be huge when it comes to that. So. Any final words before we're going to be close to wrapping up here? All right. Well, no, Mike, you can't zip your mouth because I want you to tell everybody about MacStock 10. I want to know what's going on. Tell us all about it because we're overly excited about it. We promote it every week here on the show. We can't wait. All of us here will be there, and I want to make sure that you got some opportunities to tell everybody what's new and what's going on with MacStock.
I think almost everybody right here that I'm surrounded by is going to be there, which is awesome. If you've been talking about it, then people already know this is the 10th in-person year of MacStock. I'm so excited about that. We're going to continue with the 3 days of MacStock itself, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We've got tons of awesome workshop presentation submissions, tons of awesome standard session submissions. The hardest part for me right now is actually going through all the submissions and narrowing them down to the final selection. So I'm kind of playing with the calendar, the schedule a little bit to make sure I can fit as many of them in as possible. But we're also doing something new this year. We're expanding to a 4th day. We're bringing our friends in from Ecamm to offer a creator camp. They are, this is going to be their 3rd creator camp. They've got one in the UK next month. They've got the one at MacStock in July, and then they've got their regular creator camp in September. So they are excited about expanding, and that's going to be an all-day hands-on series of sessions on top of what we're doing at MacStock. And next week, we're going to announce something for Saturday evening that's going to be also new to MacStock, something we've never done before, and I'm excited about that as well. But you'll have to wait for the next MacStock live stream next week. Week from, I'll tell everyone here. I haven't put out the newsletter yet, but it will be a week from Friday the 13th. Lucky Friday the 13th. We're going to announce something else coming to MacStock on Saturday night. And I think a lot of folks are going to really dig it. So on top of the regular sessions, on top of Creator Camp, on top of other fun things people will just naturally find themselves doing in the weekend, it's going to be a fantastic July weekend here in, Crystal Lake, Illinois. I like to say Woodstock, Illinois, but it's Crystal Lake, Illinois, actually, at the Holiday Inn Conference Center there in Crystal Lake. So,
all right,
it could be a lot of fun.
Where can people go? How they buy tickets?
You want people to actually know where they
hotels?
can go to find out more about it?
Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
that's just asking so much, Dave. If only I had the foresight to think about that as the organizer, to actually tell people that they could go to max.conference.com to find out more about the weekend, and they could pick up their weekend passes. Whether they pick up the 3-day weekend pass or the Creator Camp plus MacStock pass, you can get them right there at max.conference.com. You're awesome, Dave. Thank you for covering my back on that one.
Not a problem.
Mike, I've been seeing more mentions about MacStock at Mac user groups. And then today I got the email from Ecamm that said, hey, we're doing a creator camp at MacStock. So the word's getting out.
Yeah.
It is.
I always get nervous about expanding it, but every time we expand it, people seem to want more. So why not add a 4th day? So that's what we did. And I got a lot of energy for it this year. Now I just have to get that schedule
We all do.
organized and get.
Can't wait to hear
get
the schedule.
Submissions selected, and we'll be on our way.
Yeah. Good deal. Good deal. Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks for sharing with us, and we'll continue. We'll continue to talk about it. Continue to try to get people. And we got Chuck soon doing the Road to Mac Stock, so we got a lot of stuff ahead of us. So go ahead, Chuck.
Just wanted to. Jill's muted. She's trying to say something, but
yeah. You're right. I was going to say, I'm fairly new to Mac Stock, and I've gone to many, many conferences in my life, and nerd conferences and all that kind of stuff, and never have I walked away with piles of documentation of things I can't wait to go home and try. I have learned so much out of this whole experience that is practical, useful, and I just love it.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jill.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yep.
I learned a lot and learned a lot speaking, learned a lot about a lot of things with Mac Stock. It's been quite a bit of part of my life, all 10 years coming up this year, of course. So, all right. Well, with that, let's we're about to wrap up, but let's find out where people can find you. And reverse order here, Jill McKinley. Thanks for being here. Where can people find you?
I'll say you can find me at MacStock in July, but you can find me at jillfromthenorthwoods.com. That's where everything's at. And I'm starting a new podcast, and I'll talk more about it some other time.
Great. Thanks, Jill. And Marty Jencius, thank you for being here as always. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Where can people find you?
It's fun. It's great. Thanks for having me here. Probably anchor show that I do with Dave and with Eric is Vision Profiles on Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, live streamed, and we have an active chat room with that. I'm on Chuck's show on Tuesday nights with Mac Voices, and then here again on Thursday. And I do a bunch of other podcasts. I'll just tell you to go to thepodtalk.net to find out what podcasts I'm doing and which ones are active, and new projects coming up all the time. So thepodtalk.net is the website. Thanks.
You're muted.
You're on mute.
And Eric Bolden, thanks for you being here. Where can people find you?
I can be found outside dodging birds, otherwise on Mastodon at eabolden@mas.to. Monday nights with visionOS, fun and excitement, fully immersive. Well, kind of. The discussion is. And Vision Profiles. Tuesdays, Mac Voices live. And Thursdays, of course, here on In Touch with iOS, kind of progressing through all of the OS's news, commentary of the week in small enough doses that you can kind of absorb it all.
Great, Eric. Thanks for being here. And also thanking for being here is Chuck Joyner. Always a pleasure having you, and you're such a great supporter of me and the show. We appreciate it. Where can people find you?
MacVoices.com is where you'll find everything. We're rolling out a lot of interviews. There are a lot of plans for the coming months. Just got to find the time to execute them, but they will get executed, or I will get executed. I don't know which. Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV for the live show. Come and join in and be part of it. And on the socials, you can find me as at Chuck Joyner. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Chuck. And last but certainly not least, and such a great contribution to the show today. I really appreciate it, Mike. Mike Potter, he is here for Mac Stock and for Mac Eyes Only. Please tell everybody where they can find you.
Wow, thanks, Dave. A second opportunity to forget to tell people my URLs if they want to get in touch with me and tell me how wrong I was about the MacBook Neo. Of course, you can find me at aforementioned Mac.conference.com. That's a great way to get a hold of me, or my podcast, For Mac Eyes Only, FOR, ForMacEyesOnly.com. And you'll also find us recording our show live the second and fourth Saturday every month at youtube.com/FMEOTV. Thanks, Dave. Always a blast being on.
Thank you. Oh, always a pleasure having you. And I wanted to debut, you may see this at MacStock with some swag for In Touch with iOS. I have a new mug. This is our new mug. It's the In Touch with iOS mug here. It's even the blue inside there. So it's a few of these we'll be giving out these to our panel members and such. But you might see a few of these at MacStock. So this is it. So I'm excited that I was able to get these. These are really nice. But those are my collection with the Pod Talk Network as well as Retro Rewatch. So I could have them at hand's length here. So just wanted to debut that. And who knows, I might be giving them away in the show. And if you send me emails, well, I'll let you know. And probably have to get some more stock. I only bought a few of them, but I'm going to get some more here. So, but with that's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Blue Sky and Mastodon at intouchwithios. Support the show. Buy me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We'd really appreciate it. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We'd really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you're notified when we're live streaming, which is Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios. It was great to see Guy Zero with us, and Brian, and Cletus, and Witherbucket, and we had a couple others popping in on the web. So thanks to all of you for joining in. We had a great crowd of people here with us tonight, so that was awesome to see. And we have both the live streams that we record. You can go back and watch them, as well as you can listen to past shows. You can subscribe to our show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Cast, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and many others. But better yet, just go to our website, intouchwithios.com. All the links there, the way to listen to us are out there on that site. And I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Blue Sky and Mastodon, the Dave G65. You can also find me on the following shows on Monday nights on Vision Profiles, Marty and Eric. I always have a blast on that show. I join most of the people here on the panel here for Mac Voices Live Tuesday nights. Record out In Touch with iOS here on Thursday nights, as well as on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network. That's Marty joins us, and we miss you, Jeff. We miss you here tonight, and Jeff Gammett as well, and Patrice. So we do that on Monday mornings here on the British Tech Network, the Mac Show. And with that, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We had just an absolute blast with this episode, and even found a little bit more about MacBook Neo. So got some good insights from all the panels. So thanks again for being here, and we'll talk again soon.